He's an 82-year-old grandfather who blends in with the tourists at the Kennedy gravesite. But Clint Hill's connection here is deep and haunting.
I was there when he was killed and was unable to prevent it from happening.
November 22nd, 1963. Hill is a young Secret Service agent in President Kennedy's motorcade as it turns into Dealey Plaza. His responsibility that day, to protect the First Lady. After the president's hit with one bullet, Hill jumps on the limo, but doesn't get there in time to shield Kennedy from the second shot. Hill knew at that moment what no one else did.
I could see his eyes were fixed, and there was a hole in the skull, and I could see into the brain cavity that most of that brain matter was gone from that area. I immediately assumed that it was a fatal wound.
His sense of guilt as searing as his recollection of that moment. Years of trouble followed. His marriage disintegrated.
And I pretty much just lived in my basement in my home. I drank heavily, smoked terribly, and that lasted for almost 6 years.
At his lowest, he did an interview with CBS's 60 Minutes.
I have a great deal to kill about that. Had I turned in a different direction, I'd have made it. It's my fault.
Do you regret doing that interview?
The fact that I broke on the camera while on TV probably was the best thing that happened, because from that point later on, I realized that I had to change what I was doing, and I recovered.
He wrote 2 books about his experience, reconnected with his family, but he still believes it would have been better if he'd taken that bullet. What's it like shouldering that burden for 50 years?
Well, it's, you know, that's where that sense of failure and guilt comes in, is that you realize that if I had been able to make that difference, the United States and the world would have been a different place. It was that close.